All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to watch a short videotape. This is a developmental first grade. Now, developmental first grade are students who have gone through kindergarten, but they're deemed not to be ready for first grade. So then they go to developmental first grade. At the end of that time, they may move on to second grade, or they may actually stay in the first grade again, which is probably more likely the case. This would happen to be a situation in which they asked me to come to the classroom and observe these students. Now, this is October, and this is first grade. So what do you think when you look at me and you see someone who looks like me in October? What are little kids going to think? Santa Claus. So what happened was, of course, when I go, kids would behave. So what we did is we set a camera up, and we basically had the camera sitting there. It was a videotape. And we didn't turn the camera on for the first week to let the kids kind of get used to the camera. Then we turned it on, and what you're seeing is actual footage. Now in this case, this is a pretty remarkable teacher as far as I'm concerned. This is not going to show her in her best light. We did this as a way to give her feedback. When it was done, I sat down with her. We talked about the film. She cried. She questioned whether she should be a teacher. But then she realized just how powerful it was to get this feedback, and actually got permission from all of these kids' parents for me to be able to use this as a training tape. So what I want you to do is to watch this. I want you to watch it from the perspective of the teacher. Try to get an understanding of what you're seeing, her behaviors, the students' behaviors, the nature of the curriculum, the layout, and because we're going to role play. We're then going to break down into small groups. One of you is going to play the role of the teacher. One is going to be the person who's been asked to come in and to help this teacher develop a plan for MAC. And the other person is just going to kind of observe the group to see how they're doing this, to see what skills they're using as the helper begins to help this teacher work with the student.
This is the Blair Witch thing, we're kind of jumping. This is our target student right here. This is That's the guy you're going to watch. Take off his shirt and say all he could.
Instead of knocking that crown around there, just will you pick that up, please? Right now. It would be a hurry for you to get started right away.
there is brown envelope in there. Okay, let's close those books. You'll have a chance to look at those when you take them home. So, today you may put those into your backpack, but not right now. We can get started right now. So just put them under your mat right now. And later on, you can, we get ready to go home and put those. Let's stand for the pledge right now. Fold it over our heart. Pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quiet, they look like they're ready to come over and sit down. We can start on the calendar. Put in class.
We're going to lose sight of Mac for a minute, but he'll come back.
Cross your legs, please. Justin, I'd like you to sit on this side over here, and Tony, I'd like you to sit right here. Justin, just sit right over here behind Raleigh. Okay, Tony, move up. Okay, this way. Come on up here. And then you come up next to the okay. Jesse. Get ready. Today is Friday. Good. Okay, now look. If today is Friday, then what? Then it's still Thursday? No. So we need to come Thursday. It will go up one to Friday. Okay, good. Now, change our wheel over there on the other side. Change our wheel so it says Friday, so we didn't change yesterday. So it's Wednesday, we'll change it to Friday. And if today is Friday, what was yesterday? Yesterday. Tiffany, what was yesterday? Yesterday was Thursday, okay? You can find Thursday and put in where it says yesterday was. Yeah. We go right there, Jess. The top one on the left. Yes, there's a Friday. Good, okay. Justin, can you move away from the table and sit flat, please? Excuse me. Excuse me. Should we say that and then come on past? Okay, everyone ready to read with Tiffany? Yesterday, get ready? Yesterday was Thursday.
Mac's the one doing the muscle thing there.
Alright. What about tomorrow? What will tomorrow be? Tomorrow. Noel?
Good morning. Excuse me for an announcement.
Tomorrow will be Saturday.
May I remind you of your following rules that you have books that are due in today. Would you kindly bring them down to the Learning Center as soon this morning as what you can? In the next 20 minutes would be helpful. Mr. McKay's room, Mrs. Hanson's room, Mrs. Pett's room, Ms. Fox's room, Mrs. Roberts' room, and Mrs. McClenn's room. Thank you.
So if you have some books that you have in your backpack, then you can be over the Learning Center right away. Okay, everyone, let's get ready to read with Noel. Get ready. Tomorrow will be Saturday. Good. Okay. Now, before we continue, we need to know how many people need a hot lunch. So raise your hand high over your head so you can get a hot lunch. Okay, you can put your hands down. All right. Now we're ready for today's date. We know the day is Friday. What is today's date? We look at yesterday's date. That will give you a big hint. Washonda? Look at what we had yesterday. The 6th. Okay. You want to come up and do our chair off so we can see the 6th? This is the 6th of what month? 6th of what month? What month is this, Matt? October. Good. This is the 6th of October. Okay, now you want to go over and change that. Hold the top wheel still, so it still points to October, and turn the bottom wheel to 6. Now we turn the bottom wheel up with the 6 pointing to the arrow. Now leave October right there. Good. Okay. October 6th. Yes, Tony.
You know how I got my bike?
Well, right now we want to finish our calendar. We'll talk about that in a little bit, okay? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is October 6th, so I'll turn over to 6th. And let's go down here to our calendar, and this is the first Friday in October. The first Friday in October. What number am I going to put here? Do you know what's going to be on, what that number is going to be on? Court? Pumpkin and a 6. Okay, our next number is 6. And it's going to be a pumpkin, okay? Matt and Tony. I would like for you to...
He put a booger on me.
Matt. else there? What do you think we'll put there, Veronica? Ghost. If you notice our pattern, the next thing that should come in our pattern will be a ghost. All right, let's look at our even odds graph. Looking at our even odds graph, listen as I count. And let me see your attention over here. Listen as I count. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. Do it with me. Get ready. 2, 4, 5. Again. 2, 4, 5. Now, as of yesterday, we completed 5 days in the month of October. 5 plus 1 more for today. 5 plus 1 more for today. Michael, what's 5 plus 1 more? 6. Good job. Come on up and put the 6 right here.
Max putting boogers on me.
Michael, one more question. Is 6 and even?
Now we see Mac leave the group.
Even, how can you tell? It has a partner, okay. Let's count it again, real quick. 2, 4, 6. Do it again. 2, 4, 6. Good, learn to count by 2 there. Look here at our October tally. This shows that we have what? Cindy? What? This is a group of 5. We have 1 group of 5. 1 group of 5. There's one in there. One group of 5. So we count that real quick. 5.
He's got a problem there.
5. You need to add a tally mark for today. 5 plus 1 more for today. Alex. 5 and 1 more is good. 5 plus 1 more is 6. So we'll put the tally mark right over here. So not so close. Right there. Down. Okay, good. All right, Matt. We need to come back over here now. And Justin, I'd like you to turn around and look over here. Now, look at our tally marks. I'll count them. 5, 6. This time you count them with me. 5, 6. Turn all the way around, please. Sit flat. Okay. Now, let's check to see if all these numbers match up. You got all these X's, make sure they match up. 6. Here's 6. 5, 6. 6 there. 6 right here, and 6 right here. 5. Okay, Mike, can you come out this way? You know, Michael's looking very nice today. Nice to be sure it's here. Turn around this way. You match up today. Turn around this way, please. Okay. Eyes over here, please. Read all of those numbers now. Did anyone look at you yesterday when they went home from school? What about this morning when you eat breakfast? Anybody look at you? Okay. Good. Well, let's go on and look at our weather. What kind of weather are we having outside? What can you tell us about today's weather? Sunny? Sunny weather. Let's show you the one for sunny. Anything else you can tell us about the weather today, Jeremy? Is it raining today? It wasn't raining when I came in. Well, yesterday it was raining, but it's sunny now, and I don't see any fog out there either. Coldy? You're just guessing. Something. Tony, what else can you tell us about today's weather? Okay, there's puddles on the ground, but that's not one of our choices that we have there. You know the choices that we have there. Okay, did you wear a jacket this morning? So what would we say instead of warm this morning? Cool. So would you shade it one with the silver for cool? Anything else? Simone? Look out there. Can you see the sun shining out there? I heard the weatherman say that it's going to be nice and sunny today, and I see the sun. Our bush outside there isn't moving at all. Okay. Well, let's look at our number line and count to see how many days of school we have already completed for this school year. Move up the thing. Okay. Move up. Move up. Come on up. Let's count to see how many days school we've already completed. Get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27, Justin, I need your attention over here, please. Will you get up and come around and sit over here, Justin? Come right beside Royce there. Raleigh, come right through there, come over here. And Raleigh, go ahead and move up a little bit and sit right there, Justin. Turn your eyes this way, please. We're not going to look at Matt because he's not following directions right now. So he's not wanting to look at Matt. So your eyes should be over here. 27 days of school completed as of yesterday. 27 plus 1 more for today. 27 plus 1. Right. 27 plus 1 more is 28. Boys and girls, 27 plus 1 is 28. 28. Add our coin over there. Okay. 27. Matthew, you can sit down, please. Look right here. Before Roy added that coin, Jesse with me. Looks like we're always paying attention. Jeremy's with me. Tony's paying attention right now. How many ones did we have here before Royce added that penny? Everyone. 27 plus 1 more. 8. Okay. Now let's look at our 10s and 1s. Before Royce added that penny, we had 2 10s and 7 1s.
Okay. So, how'd that go?
Boring.
All right. So now her concerns when I was asked to come in was that he is non-compliant. Was he non-compliant?
No.
Did he fail to comply sometimes?
No.
Sure. All right. Hygiene. Did he have some hygiene issues? Okay.
Yeah, he liked his quarters.
All right. And task engagement. Were those all areas of concern?
For her, yeah.
Sure. They're all legitimate areas of concern. Okay. Does the context play a role in this? Absolutely. Does her behavior, his behavior, everything goes together. So now, break into groups of 3. One of you is going to be the teacher. One of you is going to be asked to have come in and to have observed this and to give this teacher, work with this teacher to help think about how to develop a better plan for Mac so that Mac can be more successful. The other one of you is going to be watching this interaction, watch the helper, look at how that person is using the skills we've talked about today to help that teacher identify some blind spots, develop a plan, and then we're going to process that one, then we're going to do it again, and then we're going to see another little tape. Okay? Yeah, from the group the group that had the high points for the day before on things got to wear the crown the next day. Okay? Other questions or concerns people have to understand what's going on in the tape? I would love somebody to explain to me the 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. I'd never have. Many times I've seen this tape, it's like, yeah, I know it was even, but it's like she's trying to teach even, and she goes 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. So 5, yeah. But it's like, I'm not sure how that would actually teach it. But anyhow, maybe it's just me. Other comments, questions about the tape? Okay. As you were watching that, I'm sure that you've seen some things that she did that was pretty good. Saw some things that she was doing that might be able to do better. Saw some strengths and some concerns maybe that Mac was displaying. Issues around the peers, issues around the setup of the classroom, how she moved things around, transitions, all those are fair game. All right, find your group. And how many of you started finding yourself wanting to go towards solutions? Okay, about 2 or 3 of the groups that I came into were already at solutions. It's kind of like, all right, now one of the dilemmas is that as this teacher, if I'm this teacher and I'm telling you I've got a kid who's non-compliant, first of all, was Mac non-compliant? Overall, he was a pretty compliant kid, all right? But if I'm the teacher and I'm saying he's non-compliant, what's my perception of Mac? He's not compliant. So one of the things right off the bat in terms of the process is we're going to have to get a shared view of Mac. So if I'm going to get a shared view, one of us has got to give information to the other one that's going to change how they're seeing the situation. So I'm either going to have to use empathy, probes, and confrontation to get you to start going, oh shit, well yeah, he did raise his hand almost every time when I was asking the question. Maybe he does want to play this game called school. You know, or you're going to have to share information and all of a sudden I say, okay, this was not a good sample. There's other stuff that I need to be taken into consideration here. All right? So you've got to make sure that you're on the same page. All right? How many of you, well, let's think about what were some of the big issues you saw in terms of opportunities for problem solving for this teacher to make a plan for Mac? What did you see as some of the big things that maybe could make a difference for this young man? Okay, so she was relatively slow in her whole process of moving things along, right? And with kids this age, that's going to be a challenge. So she wasn't doing herself any favors in doing this. Now, go ahead.
But at the same time, she gave her request, there was no time for a follow-up. It was like she gave her request and immediately moved on to something else. There were a few times where she would say, Mac, I need to come back. And then immediately go back to another student, without giving him any time to follow that.
Right. And when he did follow the directions, what did she do? Nothing. Okay. So, again.
I would say she also needs to see that videotape. I don't know if she did or not eventually, but if she saw his body language and his reaction to when he wasn't called on, to his just general anger and fidgeting and, you know, just there's his anger, his feeling. It's not being addressed either.
Yeah, if you walk through the table, there's a couple of things. One is when she made the transition from the desks to the floor. How did she do that? Which group got to go first? The quiet group gets to go first. They're first graders. Where do first graders want to sit? On the teacher, right? So where now are my most boisterous kids going to end up in this process? In the back. And actually, if you watch this tape, she actually has them sit on the floor for over an hour. Wow. By the time the hour is over, all the back is in front, all the front is in back. She's completely moved. Now, you could get by with that strategy if you had assigned seating. So here's your carpet squares, quiet table moves first, but you move to where you're going to be associated here, where I need you to be. She didn't, and I see this all the time, where teachers will make a decision in the front end that solves a quick problem that then creates a problem for them for the rest of the time because they didn't think the whole thing through. All right? When did Mac leave the group?
When the kids started complaining that he was
right. Who wants to be the kid who everybody points to as the booger putter on her? Right? This is not something, now, I say this every time I see this movie. Every one of us in this room at some point in our life has had something at the end of our finger we had to get rid of, right? And we usually found a chair, a wall, someplace to wipe this on, all right? Probably wasn't the kid next to you, all right? Mac chooses the kid next to him, not a good choice, all right? But we've all been there at some level of this kind of thing, all right? Mac leaves. Where did he go? He went right up in front, put his head down. What do you think he was looking for? From who? For what? To save his, I don't have an answer to this social situation. I need help. All right? Teacher doesn't pay any attention. What does he do?
I'll get in a better line of you.
He moves a little to the side where I can see you. In case you couldn't see me here, I'm here. All right? That doesn't work. He then gets up, walks around, comes over, starts playing with stuff. That doesn't work. He gets frustrated. Okay? So this is a kid who's looking for attention to help solve a problem. What's the teacher's solution to this? Ignore him. Okay? So you've got, this is kind of the perfect storm kind of thing brewing. He's got a problem, she's got a problem, neither person is solving the other person's problem. All right? You're now being called to come in to try to help this teacher perceive what's happening. All right? This is going to be one of those situations where that phase 1 and phase 2 is going to be really important in this case, because this teacher's not seeing the situation in a way that's giving her many handles to solve it, when in fact, there's tons of ways. If you wanted to get Mac to do something, what would be probably the quickest and easiest way if I wanted to get Mac to comply? What do you think might be the easiest way to do it? Ask him to do something. This is a kid who wanted to be effective. He wanted to be competent. If she'd have said, Mac, I need you to come over here and put 4 on the board, 6 on the board, boom, I would have bet a year's salary. He'd be right over there complying. She could have praised him, and he'd be right in the group again.
I noticed that specifically, he answered a question, but it was nothing where he got to go to the board.
Right.
It was already, he said it was October, and it was already up there. So even though she gave him a chance to answer it the correct way, he still didn't get what he wanted because, oh, Matt said it was October. Let's just move on.
I'd use this tape for so many different things. I think it's one of the best. I wish I hadn't shown it so many times so it got wrecked. How many of us go to a one-day in-service, and you are now the expert, right? I've had a course. I've taken one day in service on diversity. I am now able to be the diversity specialist, and I would be willing to bet you this teacher heard somewhere that it's important that you get kids to move. Okay? Now, in most schools, this teacher would come to a teacher assistance team who has never seen the kid and never seen the teacher. And you would say things like, do you have opportunities for the kids to move in your classroom? What would her answer be? Yes. Does she? Yes. Who needs to move? Mac. Is Mac moving? No. Okay. And the problem comes down to where she's got movement, she just doesn't know how to use it. All right? And I'm sure she heard you need to change activities quickly. Was she changing activities quickly? No. Actually, well, not the transition was slow, but I mean as far as now we're doing numbers, now we're doing this, now we're doing this. The problem is that she's changing activities. What are the kids being asked to do? Sit, Indian style, or crisscross applesauce till the cows come home, right? Who needs to be doing something different? The kids. So I see this all the time in schools where as teachers we're doing what we think we were told to do, and you can kind of sit back there and go, God, I see how we got here. That's not going to get it. All right? So again, it's like, how do you help this teacher not feel that you should be you should think of something but to do besides teaching, but to do something meaningful in the process. So now what I'd like you to do is somebody else be this teacher. Let's try it one more time. So somebody else, whoever the helper was, now you're not going to be the helper. You can be the observer, you can be the teacher. So everybody has a new role. Let's go back through it again. Try to get into that phase 1 and phase 2, those first 2 stages, to get a good sense of what's a meaningful problem and what's the desired outcome. I'm not so worried that you come up with a solution right now. I want to get the sense that you have a sense of, this is what I'm concerned about, and this is what it would look like if things were going well. All right? So get back in your groups and try another one. All right, let's talk for a minute. What did you see this time as you went through things? How many of you stayed at least a little bit longer in phase 1 and phase 2? Still going for the solutions? It is very, very hard, okay? One of the other questions people said is, my God, this will take forever. Right? How much time do we have? It's going to take longer than once you've got it down. Once you're pretty room, and like in this case, you're going to watch what's going on, and you're going to say, here's what seems to be the issues, here are the strengths, the weaknesses, here's what seems to be at play. As you first sit down with the teacher, all of a sudden you're going to get a perspective of their nature of the problem. Now, to me, that's the key. Almost never will those 2 things be synced. The more they are, the better, the easier your job is. To the point that which they're saying and what you're seeing don't fit, that's where you have to use these skills to help them get a better picture of the problem and what the outcome should look like. That can happen in 10 minutes easily once you feel comfortable with these skills. All right, it doesn't have to take a lot longer. The other side of it is, even if it takes longer to start with, many of you are finding that if you go in and play shell answer person, and all of a sudden you tell me the problem and I'm going to give you 4 solutions, but you're not ready to hear them or you don't want to buy into it, it's not going to work, and we're going to have another meeting in 3 weeks for another 15 or 20 minutes. And then that's not going to work, and then we're going to have another meeting. And so while in the long haul the meetings are all 15 minutes, you'll have put an hour into what if you may have taken 25 minutes the first time to spend a little bit more time dealing with it, you'd have had a plan that would work. So talk about some of those things with teachers, see what's going on. Practice some of this with just even with each other. If you've got a colleague that can do this kind of stuff, take some, because these really are skills that you should feel comfortable with. Again, I use the very same skills with kids. So if you're dealing with a kid with challenging with a situation, how do they see the problem, and what's the real situation? You use the very same skills. All right? So I have another tape, but we're not going to have a chance to see that. Maybe in 2 years when I come back, we'll see this tape. This would have been better if I'd have realized at the time I'd have done this one first. This actually is a student with a hearing impairment. But think about these kind of situations. Again, you've got my email. If there are questions, comments, concerns, things come up, please feel free to get a hold of me. I am not a religious email person, so it can take days to get responses from me, because if my day's full, I don't even look at email. People go, how do you do that? It's like, very easily, I just don't turn it on. So it may take a while to get a response from me, but you will get a response, right? You'll ultimately get one, yeah. So please feel free to get a hold of me. Any questions, comments? Again, I'm sorry I didn't realize this ended as early as it did. Questions that anybody has? Everybody says, if anybody raises their hand, I'll tear your arm off and beat you with it, right? All right, thanks for coming.